There we go. It's on. Ellen has the seat of honor today. Yes, that's her seat.
Reserve her. Okay, where you want me?
And the Greenbergs are always in the third row there.
Yes, and the Redsons used to be in front of us. And
If everyone could come sit close. We're creating community. No. Just pretend everyone's in their underwear. Okay, everyone, there's plenty of room on this side too. Like there's a whole place over here. Awesome, thank you. Want me to? Okay. So, good afternoon. Hello, wise ones. You're my wise ones. How many times have I said this is my favorite group at Temple Isaiah, but it really is. You're going to use this mic today when you talk, when I hand it to you. So I have a prayer that I was telling a couple people this morning. My youngest daughter is home for the week. She's working remotely, and so it's a treat for me to have her here. And she has a friend with her, and they're visiting. And then also Noga, who is our Temple Isaiah's Israeli Shinshin, is living at my house right now, which is a real treat. And so we were having this very intense conversation at breakfast about the war. And so the prayer that I'm bringing for us today is for peace. Holy One of blessing, we pray for the soldiers who are called to defend the people of Israel. Keep them safe when they are weary, give them strength. When they are scared, give them courage. May they find strength and faith in the days ahead. Holy One of blessing, we pray for the people of Israel who long to live under your canopy of peace. Keep them safe. When they are threatened, protect them from harm. When they are wounded and bereaved, grant them healing and comfort. May they find strength and courage in the days ahead. May our voices carry prayers of hope that the people of Israel know that they are not alone. Dear God, give us strength and know that there is nothing more sacred than peace. Grant us, dear God, faith, courage, and wisdom. And that's from Rabbi Karen Kadar. Amen. She wrote a book about Elul, I believe. It's either Elul or the Omer, I can't remember which, but she wrote a really good book about your being very unprepared, so it must be Elul. Being unprepared during Elul for the high holidays, I think. I think. Anyway, so what's coming up at Temple Isaiah? First of all, next month, we have Kendra Freed. Some of you may know her. She brings Jewish spirituality. She's actually studying at the Institute of Jewish Spirituality right now. And she's going to talk to us and do a program with us about finding ways to soothe our souls in these times that have been stressful. This has been a hard time, I think, for everybody since these last few months. And so she's going to come and talk to us about ways to soothe our souls. She's also a yoga teacher, so there might be some movement in chairs, but this is not a yoga class. So if you think of her as our yoga teacher, that's not what this is. It's more about soul soothing. And what other dates? If you play Mahjong is coming up on April 19th.
Yes, Nancy. See Nancy about that.
Yes, I'm already signed up. If you did not sign up for Shabbat Across Isaiah, which is on March 1st, and you would like to go, tell me quickly when we leave, because we're making the assignments today, and if I have room to add some more people, I will try to do that. And Shabbat Across Isaiah is actually a movement across the United States where people are going to be having Shabbat in home on March 1st. It's the family Shabbat here, but we're going to be as adults in homes and small groups. So like I'm hosting, but I can only bring 6 people in. So it's like 8 people at dinner, so there's good conversation and it's going to be an intimate thing, not like 500 people together for dinner. So we have hosts and we have people who are going to host houses, and so it's going to be really fun, yeah? We're going to email you, but we're meeting today, so that's why you haven't heard anything yet. But you will hear, because we're meeting today about it. You can let me know, and if there's room, I will get you in. Are you letting me know? Okay, I'll write you down. Hi, Adlers.
Hi, Bill.
Okay, I'm turning this over to Jan, who's going to then turn it over to Denise.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's so good to see all your smiling faces and to get together and build community. It's wonderful. So I just wanted to mention the Wise Ones Out and About activity. It's coming up end of next week. It's March 29th. And Helen Sweet found out about an Israeli musician called Anat Cohen, and she's going to be playing at the Lesher Center. You would have seen the email coming out from the temple. If you want to sign up, you buy a ticket, and hopefully we'll arrange to have dinner beforehand, because it starts at 7 at the Lesher Center, March 29th, and you have to RSVP to Joy Plummer, who's the activity person. So that's coming up, and I won't be here because we're off to New York, which is a shame. So we'll miss the Shabbat too, but anyway. So it's good to be back. Alex and I were in Australia for 3 weeks. We had a wonderful time. And anyway, we're here today, and Denise is here, thankfully. I'm sorry that some of you might have been expecting Julie, who was doing the memory presentation, but she had a family issue. So I gave her the option of doing it later in the year. So hopefully we'll have Julie come in July, possibly, to talk about that. So today we're here to hear Ellen Baer's story. Ellen was an amazing woman. A lot of you probably knew her. She sat right over there for many, many years. She was a founder of the temple. She loved Temple Isaiah. She was here volunteering all the time. And we all have fond memories of her checking the Ruach or checking in the people who are doing honors on High Holy Days. She always had a wonderful smile, positive attitude. She had a joy of life. And so here's Denise, who's going to tell the story that Ellen did not tell her when she was here. So the wonderful Ellen of blessed memory, here's her story. Thanks, Denise.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be back up here. Mom loved this place, and Wise Ones was one of her favorite things before COVID to come to and enjoy. Is that better? Okay, perfect. My name is Denise Silicani. I grew up in Temple Isaiah along with my sister Leanna Baer with fond memories. I remember the pink temple house and the many steps to become what the temple is today. My parents, Al and Ellen Baer, were part of the founding members of Temple Isaiah and had many, many memories and friends from here. My dad was the official chauffeur blower until 1986 when he passed away in 1987. A bit of history about me. Can you still hear me? Oh, okay. I was Rabbi Waldenberg's first confirmation class, and my picture is still hanging in the Temple House on the wall. It's really a cute picture. I remember picking Rabbi Waldenberg up at the San Francisco airport with his golden retriever and greeting him to the Bay Area many, many years ago. After confirmation, I attended college and married my husband, Ed, of 44 years, and together we raised Monica and Brad, who were both confirmed here. After Mom's passing, we had a memorial service here last February 19th that was a Zoom presentation. Part of the way through, I think Mom was listening, and a large amount of water came pouring off the ceiling over there, off the roof, and the recording was interrupted. So I'm hoping today all goes smooth, so our out-of-area family and friends will watch Mom's story uninterrupted. Resilience is the word that describes my mom, Ellen Baer, who passed away January 11th of last year. Mom lived her life her way until the very end. She was an honest, self-made person. She married Al Baer in 1950, who was also a German orphan. They met in San Francisco as part of the little community of German Jews. They made a good life for themselves in Orinda and were founding members of Temple Isaiah. Al passed away in 1987, and at the age of 57, my mom was a widow. Mom always loved people and continued learning. Our family is very small, and after our dad passed in 1987, Temple Isaiah became Mom's second family, and we thank everyone for being a part of Mom's life. Mom's hobbies were travel, exercise, which included body sculpting and swimming, and shopping. She was a great shopper. Many times you could find Mom at Broadway Plaza, and many people in the shops knew her by name. In January of 2013, Mom lost her dear friend she considered a sister, Rebecca Harris, who was another founding member. A few months later, we were talking of the loss, and I suggested that she tried something new, and at the age of 84, she took up Mahjong and loved it. What courage she had to try new things. Another dear friend, Ellen Emold, passed away on Halloween of 2019. These two women did a lot of concerts in San Francisco, art festival, and numerous temple activities. These two Ellens made the best of life. As kids, Leanna, my sister, and I were always taught not to ask Mom about her past. We knew her survival skill was her wall, never to be questioned. Through the years, bits and pieces came through, but never the whole story. Then, in 1994, the movie Schindler's List came out, and Ed and I went and saw it. The movie won awards, and Mrs. Spielberg, who was a survivor herself, requested other survivors to talk. I asked Mom, and I got, "Not for me." Then, in 1998, a member and mother of Jeannie, Barbara Goldine, was a Shoah Foundation interviewer, and she got Mom to do a Shoah interview. Thank you, Barbara. Mom did the interview by herself, and at the end, my sister and my two kids and myself were invited to talk. Mom told a lot of how Monica, our daughter, had asked her if she remembered attending school dances. At that point, we found out my mom did the interview for her grandchildren, not her children. During Monica and Brad's high school years at Camp Olindo, there was always a diversity day. I always requested to accompany Holocaust survivor Ernie Hollander from Piedmont. I would have Mom go get a kosher lunch, and Mom and I would talk with him. Ernie and I both tried to get Mom to talk, but she always declined. Mom did not watch much TV, but Jeopardy and 60 Minutes were always favorites. Mom would call at the end of 60 Minutes to see if we watched it. This one Sunday, she called after they did a segment of the Children of Terezin and asked if I saw the picture of the 3 girls playing. This is the picture here. I said that I did see it, and she told me the middle girl was her. The next morning, I was calling New York CBS, Bob Simon's office, to get a copy of that picture. It was the property of the International Red Cross, who I called next and finally got the copy of the picture. Skip ahead to 2017. One day I received a call from Mom asking if we had an American Express card. And of course I said, why? She said you could get advance tickets to see the play Hamilton in San Francisco, and she wanted to see it. Ed was nice enough to wait on hold for over 2 hours to secure 2 tickets to go on May 31st, Mom's 88th birthday. Mom read all 700 plus pages of the Hamilton book. We both listened to the music to learn the words, and we even went to a lecture at Rossmore about the making of the play Hamilton. We were ready, and off we went. It was fun, and then the part came in the play with the line, "Who lives, who dies, who tells my story?" Mom turned to me and asked, "Who will tell my story?" And I said I would. That night when she spoke to my sister, she recalled the same story and asked, "Who will tell her story?" And that's what Leanna and I decided we would do to honor Mom. Prior to telling Mom's story in detail, it's important to quote her directly from her first Shoah tape. This quote definitely sheds light on how she was able to become a survivor and to thrive in life. And this is her quote: "I made a deliberate point of trying to put an iron curtain between that time, being the Holocaust, and the present, because I am a survivor and I am going to live. And to just dwell on the past, especially the minutia, the tiny little things, will absolutely do no good. My childhood was taken away from me, and that's where it's at." Now I'll go into her story. Ellen, her maiden name was Bauman, Bear, was born on May 31st, 1929 in Cologne, Germany, the second daughter to Franz and Emmy Bauman. Her father was a successful businessman. At the age of 5 in 1934, Ellen and her sister Hilda were sent to boarding school in Holland while their parents tied up loose ends and prepared to leave Germany as rumbles of Nazi discord were becoming prevalent. They settled in Arnhem, Holland. They had a lovely suburban home there, and the 2 girls attended school and religious school. But as signs of trouble worsened after the German invasion of Holland on May 10, 1940, the family was forced to move further inland to Arnhem after unsuccessfully attempting to leave the country from the coast. Once in Arnhem, Ellen got tuberculosis. In Arnhem, the girls were forced to go to inferior schools for only Jews. They each were issued 2 yellow stars that had to always be sewn on their outer clothing. Additionally, They always had to have packed a little suitcase in case they were forced to flee on a moment's notice. On the fateful night of November 17, 1942, the Gestapo came and rounded up her family and others. They were all taken to Westerbroek transit camp. Westerbroek served as a temporary collection point for Jews in the Netherlands prior to their deportation by the Germans to concentration camps and killing centers. The four of them remained together as a family while in Westerbroek. In spring of 1943, Ellen and her family were moved in cattle cars some 545 miles to Terenstad in the Czech Republic near Prague. It was often referred to as Terezin. At Terezin, she was with other children, separated from her parents, although she did frequently get to see them. She lived in a dorm-style environment with bunks and rationed poor food. She worked in the daycare area with the younger children, while her mom worked in the laundry area and her dad with the Jewish police in the camp. While at Terezin, Ellen was afflicted by scarlet fever, which became the curse that saved her life. On September 29, 1944, Ellen entered the infirmary, never to see her family again. That very same day, her father was deported to Auschwitz, Poland. On October 9th, her sister Hilda was deported, and on October 19th, her mother, Emmy, left for Auschwitz. Ellen spent a couple of months in the infirmary, and when she recovered, she returned to the dorm and began working in the plastics factory at Terezin camp. According to Ellen, her survival was sustained by courage and faith. On May 5th, 1945, the Czech flag was raised at Theresienstadt, and the camp was liberated by the Russians, who treated them as wonderfully as possible. After spending a few days at a villa, the Russians put her and others on a train back to Holland. Mom was aware her family was not present, but unaware of their fate. The conductor on the train asked her where she was going, and she responded she really didn't know. The conductor, Mr. Arndt, took Mom home to his family in Eindhoven, Holland. He said his family would help her find her family. So heartwarming to know that giving, compassionate people still existed in the world. Ellen lived with this wonderful family from June 1945 until February of 1946. She even participated in normal 17-year-old activities like the USO dance. During this time, the Red Cross confirmed the death of her parents and sister at Auschwitz. The Red Cross further helped locate an uncle in London where Mom went. In May of 1947, at the age of 18, she immigrated to New York via ship and then to San Francisco via plane to the Lloyds family, her father's sister, Alice Lloyds. Ellen remained with the Lloyds family and finally as a member of a true family. She had 3 cousins who became sisters for life while they stayed there and took part in the family activities and experiences. It truly was an experience for which she was grateful and appreciative. The bond between the Lloyds family and our family has remained throughout the years. Leanna and I are eternally grateful for the love and compassion extended by Alice and Hans Lloyds and their daughter in allowing Mom to experience a true life. Mom remained with the Lloyds until she married Albert in July of 1950. She went on to become a proud American citizen, and she was even featured in the Chronicle. She attended San Francisco City College and UC Berkeley School of Engineering until she decided being married and having a family was more important, and then became a charter member of Temple Isaiah, which was the cornerstone to her life, raised 2 daughters, and she owned a business in Walnut Creek. They're all phenomenal accomplishments for a young orphan child of the Holocaust. The foundation of Ellen's existence was based on faith, courage, and positive beliefs, all of which gave her amazing strength. Mom never dwelled on the past or what she had lost. She always looked forward and saw the best in situations. We could all gain some wisdom and insight from embracing the strength, independence, and fortitude of Ellen Baer. When you consider the absolute hell Ellen endured in her first 18 years, in her following 75 years, she was amazing, kind, always happy in spirit, strong person, a great mother and partner to Al, and a friend to many. Strong both in her will to survive and her strong moral and personal character and her strength of will. Al's experience, my father, as a young adult was parallel to Mom's to a large extent. Al had his parents that went to Auschwitz and his sister who went to Auschwitz, but Al and his brother Marty were removed from Nazi Germany via underground through France and Portugal, eventually coming to the United States. Al and his brother Marty found their way to an orphanage in San Francisco, Homewood Terrace on Ocean Avenue, where Al graduated from George Washington High School in 1945. Al and Ellen never were ones to look in the rearview mirror when viewing how to conduct themselves in their interactions or with others, or others to know their early history. Al and Ellen was nothing short of a role model for all of us in this regard, always having a positive outlook. Now, I will take any questions anyone had, because that was a brief history of what Mom, and very brief history of what Dad went through before they came here. And like I said, as parents, they looked forward. They never really dwelled on the past, which was very amazing, especially as the years went on. Mom went to Merrill Gardens right before COVID hit, and she was still happy there. She was just, you know, they feed me, I'm happy. So that was, but she had an amazing life that she really never, I mean, one time we were at a temple thing and my sister was telling everyone, she's a Holocaust survivor, and my mom said, tell Leanna to stop saying that. They don't need to know that. Oh, and then recently, Monica, our daughter, is married to Mike, and his sister is a librarian in Wisconsin, and came out for Thanksgiving. And she said she had a couple that came up to them around Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah, and said, I'd like to do a display at the library in Wisconsin. And so she started looking for some books to beef up her library a little bit. And she came across this book, of which is the picture from the Red Cross. And my mom never lived to know that she was on the cover of a book. But this is a book that is written for 10 to 14-year-olds about Theresienstadt. And, you know, you read that and shed a few tears, and just amazing people. Does anyone have any questions? Alex? who's sitting in my mom's prime seat. The third row. And within a month after my mom passed away, Alex's mom, who was also a Holocaust survivor, passed away. And you have a nice story too. Thank you. Okay. The war? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Can I put this down? Oh, okay. So Alex had asked if I knew something about my grandparents before their insight to 1934. My mother's sister Alice, my mother's father's sister Alice Lloyd was part of the Tietz family. The Tietz family owned department stores in Cologne, Germany. If you've been to Germany, it's a chain called Galeria Kaufhof now. But Mom's dad owned 10% of that. And Ed and I went over in 2005, and they gave us all the books about the anniversaries, and Mom's father is in the books. So they were, and actually her house is still standing in Cologne, Germany. And she was raised with governesses and very nicely, and like my dad used to say, I would have never met her in Germany because she was really rich and I was just a poor guy. But through the department store, they must have had insight on what was coming. And Mother's family went to Holland, and Alice Lloyd's family stayed in Cologne for another year or so before making passage out through Belgium. And they were able to get directly to San Francisco. And that's how they just stayed longer and got the right timing. So, you just didn't know which way to go. Yes? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I know. That's a, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, I will add on to my father's story. His father was a general in World War I, and their living room at their house had all his medals in it. And my uncle told us a story of he remembers Kristallnacht when they came in, but they would not touch that living room where those medals were. But they ransacked their house and everything. Then somebody owed the family a favor, so they took the boys out of Germany because if you were under 10 years old, there was no picture on your passport. So they got the boys to France, where Ernest Popenick ran an orphanage, and they all had to study something. My father studied shoemaking. My uncle studied and had Fantasia Bakery in San Francisco with the little pinafores. And then there was one other one, Ernie Valfer, who studied engineering, who he taught at Cal for years and years and years, but they were all then sponsored over through Portugal by the Quakers, and went to New York, and once they were in New York, they were divided, and as I said, we got bits and pieces of stories, but Ed and I were in St. Louis, and there was a Bear law firm, and I took a picture of that and sent it to my mom, and my mom goes, oh, those were the people that wouldn't take Dad and Marty in. So it was like, whoa, you know, bits and pieces coming out at different points. But yes, I am donating this book. It's no big thing. But there's also a book in the library downstairs called Out of the Fire, which is by Ernest Popenick, and it has a chapter in it called A Shoe Store in Orinda, about the red bear and the brown bear, which the red bear was Uncle Marty and the brown bear was Dad. So yeah, these were two amazing stories that we were really never able to ask about much, because that's, looking forward, was how they survived. Okay, I know I had more questions. Thank you for your story too, that was good. Jeannie, did you have a question? Or a statement? Yes. Right, you did. Yes, and your brother. The Shoah interview that she did, you can go on to the Shoah Foundation, which is at USC, and you can either say, you can say your family, because it's easier to get it, but you can look up Ellen Baer and you can watch it.
But it's also here at the temple, but it's on VHS.
Right,
Which nobody has.
a VHS.
Broken ones at home. But
Yes, and I've tried to make them into CDs, and that didn't work. No. What? Yeah. So you probably can stream and watch it. But anyway, anyone else have any? Yes.
Thank you so much
Oh,
for telling us Ellen's story. We knew Ellen for 6
yes.
years, and she was a wonderful woman, and I can imagine a wonderful mother and grandmother. My question has to do with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
We remember him blowing a shofar,
Yes.
being a very important person in temple management and so forth. Was he adverse to telling his story?
He was a little bit more open about it. He finally told me his story. When I was a senior in college at San Francisco State, I had Rabbi Fine as a professor on the history of San Francisco. And Dad and I sat down. I was a daddy girl. We'd laugh. all that. But he sat down and he told me his story, yes. And I have that also. It's not as dramatic as Mom's, because they were taken out of Germany and then taken to an orphanage, got educated. He came to San Francisco and graduated, and then was sent back to Germany when he went in the military because he knew German.
So how old is your dad when you left Germany the first time?
Math. And when my dad came to this country, he was born in 1926 in Germany, but when he came to America, they put down 1927. So he gained a year. So my mom gave him a 40th birthday party. Well, no, she gave him a 40th one, and 11 years later, a 50th one, of which he said, you better go by what the U.S. says if you want to get the real me. So, yes, his story is amazing, and he went on. No. No, he was not. He was, I know, because those shows have come on, and my sister goes, was Dad part of that? Was Dad part of that? No, he wasn't. We have his discharge papers and stuff. He was just someone who knew the language and was assigned to the prisons to listen. Yeah. So I thank you for inviting me, and thanks for listening.
Well, we thank you so much. I mean, what an amazing story, and it's so inspiring for everybody. I mean, especially now when there's troubles and you just feel like you have to think positive, go forward. And I always remember Ellen speaking at the Founders Shabbat. We had several of them, and she was so proud, and she'd stand up there and she would talk about the early days of Temple Isaiah, and she was just an amazing woman, and we'll always remember her. She'll always be in our hearts. And
Yes.
thank you so much for coming
thank
today,
you.
and Ed to come and to share. It's very, very important.
It is, especially because she wouldn't tell her story.
Yes, exactly. Thanks again.
Thank you. Enjoy your afternoon, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Hope to see you next month.
I have a book with somebody named John. Well, thank you.
And Zelda would always say, Ellen is always so nice to her. You know, I mean, they light the candles. You know. I took pictures of that, so it's
Oh, you can touch it. Petler laminated it for me.